Illman, Mike Beer, taking a look at race number 10 at Saratoga on Belmont Stakes Saturday. We're here at the spa. Unfortunately, we're expecting a little bit of rain Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. Hopefully, it won't be too bad that it affects this Grade 1 Metropolitan Handicap. We're coming out of the chute at a mile here at Saratoga. It's 1.5 turns, not like the one-turn configuration at Belmont. But as we take a look at the field, only 6 in here. Is it really going to affect the outcome?
Probably not. It doesn't feel like you can be that badly compromised in such a short field. Here it is a little bit different, though. You got to break out of that chute there and make an immediate turn to your left there. We'll see if it affects anybody. I doubt that it will.
Only 6, but we've got last year's Breeders' Cup Classic winner in here in white Abarrio. We've got last year's Preakness winner and this year's Pegasus World Cup winner, National Treasure, in this field. And National Treasure, as we take a look at our Timeform US pace projector, he is at his best when he goes to the front. Timeform US has Hoist the Gold as a nuisance to the lead for National Treasure. I think Flavian Pratt is going and say, Hoist the Gold, you better have him nailed on tight if you want the lead.
I would hope that that's how they're going to play it in here. I mean, I feel like you just got to come out running with National Treasure. His best races are when they're really aggressive with him. That pace projector, I love looking at it because it's the way they have it lined out there, single file, like it's a half mile at Roosevelt. But we'll see. We'll see if this horse could really bother National Treasure up front. I guess it's in some ways it's the key to the race.
In some ways, it's the key to the race because it could set things up for stalkers or closers. Castle Chaos is one of those horses. He's 20-1 on the morning line, but he's coming off good efforts in 2 of his last 3 starts, both of those races on fast going. He just missed last time out to post time in the Carter. I still think he needs to prove he's a graded stakes horse.
Yeah, he's got a lot to prove in a race like this one. I don't mind them taking a shot in here because he has run some really good races, and it does feel like the mile is perhaps his best distance. He ran really well in the Carter last time, Dan, but you know what? Post time ran better. Post time's back in here.
National Treasure is in here. Of course, he won the Preakness and Blazing Sevens, threw it down to the last 3/16 of a mile. National Treasure got the best in the Pegasus World Cup. National Treasure was a little bit comfortable sitting off of a horse, but he made the lead early inside the 7/16 and went on about it. And all in all, the Saudi Cup, that's run over a track that some horses just don't handle. He didn't make the lead, National Treasure. All in all, he ran fine.
He ran okay in that race. Certainly ran better than what Abarrio did on the day. We'll see if that makes any difference at all. I don't care about the Saudi Cup really at all. Just going off the 2 races prior to that, though, Dan, I know that he just missed at the Breeders' Cup going the 2-turn mile. He ran great that day with a really aggressive ride, and they went right back to those tactics at the Pegasus World Cup. I know that he didn't make the lead, but that pace was wicked, and he kept up with it. He took over, and he wouldn't let the closers in.
And guess who made the pace that day? Hoist the Gold. National Treasure ran right by him like he was tied to a post. Speaking of post time is up next. The likable Maryland bred won the Carter 2 starts back, coming from off moderate fractions to run them down. Castle Chaos was second. Here's the Westchester last time out. It's usually the local prep for the Met Mile, and Sheldon Russell was very conservative with this horse. He allowed Messier to get the jump on him, turning for home. Here's post time coming with a determined late run. He just misses. He is a very honest horse who is taking the biggest step up in class in his career, but I think he deserves a shot in here, and I think if he gets the right flow, he's going to come firing.
I agree. He deserves the shot in here, and I don't think he's necessarily overmatched by these horses. He was better than it looks winning the Carter 2 starts back with 0 pace in front of him. Listen, it was just a tactical error last time in his most recent start. It was a poorly timed ride, and it cost this horse at the end, but he ran great. His 2 races prior to that, I know it's against weaker competition. Those figures put him right in the mix.
Blazing Sevens is the number 4, and how you feel about him is kind of one of the keys to this race from a wagering standpoint, because on his day, he's done some good things. He won the Champagne as a 2-year-old over a wet track. He might get a wet track here. As a 3-year-old, he was an in-and-outer, but when he had to show up in the Preakness, he did. He just couldn't get by National Treasure when it counted. Chad put him away after 1 bad race in the Curlin where he was 3rd without excuses, I thought, against Scotland. But his first race back was this start, and I thought it was a useful effort because he's wide all the way through the turn and into the stretch, and off the layoff, he was solid in the lane. I think he can build off it.
I think he can too, and it'll be interesting to see if he does because he's been a little bit of a confusing horse. You know, a good race here and there, but his overall form, it leaves a lot to be desired. I mean, outside of the Preakness last year, he was terrible in all of those races. I do like the way that he came back last time. It's a very solid race for this horse, and maybe, Dan, ultimately this is what he wants to do, 1-turn races.
Hoist the Flag. The last time he ran a mile was in the Cigar Mile, and it was the race of his career. Now, he caught a muddy track, he got a speed-favoring track, he got a brilliant ride from John Velasquez. The farther we get away from that race, it's beginning to think that maybe that race was a bit of a either bias-aided or track-aided fluke, because in the Pegasus World Cup, okay, at distance a little far for National Treasure, I'd beat no matter what distance it would have been that day. I'm not interested in the Saudi Cup. He was bad that day, fine. Last time out at Churchill, they cut him back to 7, and he just really didn't fire his best. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I was too. You would have thought he would have run better than that as the favorite. He didn't. He got away last from the gate in there, which is a real problem for him. Then they had to sort of rush him up to be part of that pace, and he kind of paid the price. I'm still not sold that this horse is, Met Mile caliber kind of competition, but I guess he's a factor in this because of his speed.
And here's White Abarrio, who began his blitz to the Breeders' Cup Classic with a win in the Whitney over this surface last year, going 1 mile and an eighth. Then he won the Breeders' Cup, and he was the bee's knees going into the Saudi Cup. He did not run very well that day, so he's going to have to rebound, cutting back to 1 mile. But Dutro's been pointing for this race ever since he crossed the wire, 10th in the Saudi Cup. And from this outside post, there's going to be pace from the track.
Yeah, it feels like, at least the way I always looked at him, I felt like the book on him was he's good going longer, but he's better going shorter, and maybe the mile is what he really wants. I would point out that he was 3rd in the Met Mile last year. He ran sneaky well that day. That was a good performance. Then, of course, you know what he did after that in the 2 longer races. You can't knock what he's done for Dutro. His races are really, really good for this trainer. Your call if you want to take a super short price on him in this race.
Let's take a look at our top pick in the prestigious Metropolitan Mile. Mike, where are you going?
My call is I don't want to take a super short price on White Abarrio on here. He's the horse to beat. I like National Treasure going this mile here. I want Pratt on a cent.
I prefer National Treasure as well over White Abarrio, but I'm hoping Blazing Sevens can finally live up to his potential. He's got to be a good price in this race. He has that last race under his belt. Maybe, just maybe, this pace is hot enough where he can sit a tracking enough trip. We'll see if he's good enough.
Yeah.
In the Met Mile, which features some talented horses, National Treasure, White Abarrio. Don't forget about post time.